June 5, 1944. The night air over Lincolnshire was heavy, still, and electric with anticipation. In the darkened hangars of RAF Woodhall Spa, mechanics moved without speaking, their breath clouding the lamplight. There was no roar of bomb loaders tonight, no scent of high explosive or fuel drums. Instead, the men loaded bundles of glinting silvery ribbon into the belly of 617 Squadron's Lancaster bombers. Each strip of metal measured exactly 26.7 centimeters, a number so precise it seemed almost superstitious. But it wasn't luck, it was mathematics. That length matched half the wavelength of the German Würzburg radar system, meaning every fluttering piece would return a perfect radar echo, as strong as an aircraft itself. When Wing Commander Leonard Cheshire briefed his men, he didn't call it a bombing run, he called it an illusion. The goal was simple in words, impossible in execution: to make the Luftwaffe see what wasn't there. By 2300 hours, 18 Lancasters thundered into the black. They flew low, their engines vibrating through the fuselage as they climbed out over the channel. Below them stretched a darkness, vast and absolute, the same water where, within hours, the largest invasion fleet in history would cross unseen. Each bomber flew a looping oval pattern, 11 kilometers long and 3 wide, advancing slowly toward the French coast. Every 4 seconds, the bomb aimer reached into the hold and dumped a bundle of window into the slipstream. Thousands of aluminium ribbons scattered and twisted through the air, falling in waves, each piece catching moonlight like falling snow. From below, nothing but silence, but on German radar screens along the coast, glowing green and alive, a shape began to form, a solid, steady convoy, 20 kilometers wide, crawling directly toward Calais. By 0030, reports were flooding into German naval headquarters. Large formation approaching Boulogne, course steady, speed 13 kilometers per hour. And that was exactly what the Allies wanted them to believe. Because the real invasion fleet, over 6,000 ships strong, was heading southwest, toward Normandy. To the Germans, radar was magic, a weapon that saw through darkness, fog, and deception. They called it Funkmessgerät, radio measuring device, and treated its readings as pure truth. But that belief would be their undoing. For years, German engineers had refined the Würzburg system with surgical precision. It could detect ships or aircraft within 100 meters of accuracy. The Kammhuber line, a vast network of radar-guided defenses, had protected occupied Europe like an electronic wall. It guided night fighters to devastating effect, and it convinced the High Command that their coastlines were impenetrable. But the British had spent just as long studying how to make radar lie. The idea of window had come from a Scottish physicist, Dr. Joan Curran, in 1942. She discovered that if you cut aluminium strips to match radar wavelengths, they'd resonate perfectly, scattering radio waves like thousands of false echoes. At first, the RAF refused to use it. Commanders feared the Germans would copy the trick and blind British radar in return. For nearly a year, the secret sat in a locked drawer. Only in 1943, during the Hamburg raids, was it finally unleashed to devastating effect. Overnight, bomber losses dropped by half. By 1944, the scientists at the Telecommunications Research Establishment had perfected the system. Operation Glimmer was its masterpiece, radar deception elevated to art. The brilliance lay in the choreography. Each Lancaster dropped bundles at strict 4-second intervals. The aluminium clouds descended at 300 meters per minute, spreading laterally in the wind to form what looked like slow-moving solid masses on a radar screen. The pilots flew perfect ovals so that the echoes drifted naturally across the channel, mimicking the movement of a real fleet. To a German radar operator staring into the phosphor glow of his screen, the illusion was flawless. Dozens of radar returns clustered together, moving with steady purpose toward Calais. The readings were consistent. The density matched the spacing of naval vessels. The speed was right. Nothing about it looked suspicious. And that was the point. Not to dazzle, not to confuse, but to confirm exactly what the Germans already believed. That the invasion would come at Calais, the shortest crossing, the most logical point. By 2:30 a.m., the false fleet was halfway across the channel. On radar, it looked unstoppable. Hundreds of ships, perfectly aligned, maintaining formation. From Calais to Boulogne, alarms wailed. German coastal guns turned north, radar-guided flak batteries locked on, and E-boat squadrons scrambled from Boulogne and Le Havre. 12 fast attack craft sliced through the black water, their crews gripping binoculars, searching for silhouettes. They found nothing. Still, the radar said otherwise. Every sweep showed the convoy closer. Some captains fired blindly into the dark. Others swore they saw shapes in the mist. Illusions born of exhaustion and fear. On the French coast, the 15th Army stood ready, convinced that the Great Invasion was about to strike. Meanwhile, 250 kilometers to the southwest, the real Allied Armada, nearly 7,000 ships, was approaching the beaches of Normandy. At 5:30 a.m., as paratroopers landed behind enemy lines and the first landing craft touched sand, the German High Command remained fixated on the Phantom. Admiral Kranke ordered reinforcements to Calais. General Dolman radioed for patience. The main assault is yet to come. Even Hitler, roused from sleep, believed the Normandy landings were a diversion. He refused to release the panzer reserves until the real invasion fleet at Calais appeared. It never would. By the time the truth became clear that the Armada on radar had vanished like smoke, it was too late. The Allies had secured the beaches, built a bridgehead, and brought 325,000 men ashore. A few tons of aluminium foil had bought them the time they needed. Operation Glimmer didn't just fool machines, it fooled minds. German officers trusted radar as absolute, a clean mechanical reflection of reality. But the British understood that all technology depends on interpretation. The deception worked because it fit perfectly into the German narrative, a Calais invasion confirmed by their own instruments. As Reginald Jones, Britain's chief of scientific intelligence, later wrote, "Deception is not about what you hide, it's about what the enemy expects to see." Operation Glimmer became a masterclass in applied psychology. Every part of it, from the convoy's fake speed to its radar density, was calculated not by guesswork, but by studying German habits. Even the timing matched what the Germans believed the tides required for a cross-channel assault. But behind the equations were men, tired, freezing, terrified men. The 617 Squadron crews flew for nearly 7 hours in total darkness, over cold black water, hands raw from feeding bundles of foil through chutes. Their radar altimeters glowed dim green, their compasses drifted in the magnetic air. One slip of the flight path, and the illusion would fracture. They didn't falter. When the Lancasters finally landed at dawn, the crews didn't cheer. They didn't know yet what they'd achieved. Only hours later, intercepted German communications confirmed the success. The Calais defenses had been fully mobilized to fight ghosts. It was, in the words of one intelligence officer, the most perfect lie ever told by mathematics. Operation Glimmer's legacy outlived the war. The principles it pioneered, radar masking, false echo generation, electromagnetic spoofing, became the foundation of modern stealth and electronic warfare. But at its heart, it remained something profoundly human, a reminder that even in an age of machines, wars are still won by imagination, by those who understand not only how the enemy sees, but what the enemy believes.